really good intro. Yo, what's going on, my Veve OGs, my Omi homies, and everybody else on YouTube? It's your bromie, the Gale, back at it again with another interview video. Okay, so in this video, co-founder of Ecomi, Dan Crothers, recently had an interview about a few days ago, and I missed it. And if you're like me, then you're gonna probably want to see this video. I try to cut down all the fluff and I shortened it a little bit from its original length. But yeah, he basically talks about the future of Ecomi and what just Marvel Month and a whole bunch of other stuff that is just good to hear. You just always want to hear when one of the leaders of Ecomi speaks, just so you can have a beat on your investment. So that's what this video is. Feel free to watch it at 1.5x speed or greater, or regular speed. It's up to you. But yeah, without further ado, let's just breeze into it.
We are absolutely honored to be joined this time by Dan Crothers, the co-founder of Veve, which is an app-based marketplace for premium licensed digital collectibles, including Marvel, Batman, Adventure Time, Monster Hunter, NFLPA, DC Collectibles, Star Trek, Jurassic Park, Fast and the Furious, Back to the Future, Ultraman, Superman, so much more. What an incredible lineup of licensed properties. In your words, what are NFTs?
Well, I mean, in my view, a very simple way to put it is an NFT is something that the value is placed on its desirability. So the example I like to give is the Superman comic. If you love Superman, you'll pay whatever to get that #1 Superman. But if you don't like Superman, then you're not going to pay, $5 to own it. So really, it comes down to the inherent value of that the individual user puts on the item, and that's really about something that's non-fungible. And then obviously the token side of it brings in the digital blockchain ownership side.
But I did also notice one side note on your website. It doesn't actually say the word NFT anywhere. I assume that was deliberate.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is we started so long ago that, back then it was a digital collectible. I mean, no one even knew what an NFT was back then. I mean, it was only since January this year that the word NFT has almost become ubiquitous around the world. So, and also that we are, our audience is more of collectors. So that's kind of really the angle that we are going for, the digital collectible angle.
Dan, it's incredible how many amazing properties Veve is already working with. I list them all at the top. What was your pitch to all of these properties, and how did you differentiate yourself from a busy NFT market?
Well, it kind of goes back a bit to our history. I mean, we've really been in this space for 4 years, and when we first started pitching, we would go in extremely bullish into the top licensing companies in the world and say, we're here to do digital collectibles. They're like, digital what? And then it would all go a bit awkward and would kind of leave the room. So it started off very, very rocky, to be honest with you. And then as we started to evolve the product more and more, and obviously there's very smart people at the heads of these licensing companies. They can foresee, what is potentially going to come. And then luckily enough, after probably about 2 years of hard grind, I mean, myself and David, my co-founder, we would fly to LA every two to 3 months and just always go back. We were very tenacious. And I think that's how we eventually managed to get them on. And each time the product would get better, the licensor would understand a little bit more about what we were doing. But yeah, it was back then, there was really no one else. It was sort of us trying to convince the licensing world of this new emerging market.
You're currently doing drops of Marvel comic books, which is so cool. It's a natural fit for any collectors. Do you see this as the future of how comic books will be sold?
I mean, I think there's always going to be a space for the physical side of comics. But I think the advantage of NFT-based comics is that you kind of get the best of both worlds. As in, you have this comic that you can own and you can read, but you also have, because you have complete ownership over it, you can sell it, you can trade it, you can do whatever. So these digital NFT comics fit right in between the physical comics and then, say, the subscription platforms that are out there now. So yeah, very, very happy with the results that we've had selling the first few comics, and obviously we're very excited to have Marvel's very first comic, Marvel Comics #1, as our very first debut. Anyone in the collecting world knows that anything that's a first appearance in any particular type of medium can often garner, great value down the line. So good luck to everyone who got one of those. A lot of people never even had a chance to read Marvel Comics #1 because it's so rare. So yeah, it's great opening up another avenue for collectors.
A lot of Marvel and DC NFTs out there, most of them very illegal, but there's a lot of them kind of floating around the market. What responsibility do you think a platform has to moderate these activities in the NFT space?
I think it's something that is going to become more heavily monitored. I mean, we've seen it already in the past with file sharing, with mega.com, the whole Kim.com sort of saga. I mean, that's a very, very relatable scenario where they've got a platform, people are putting illegal stuff on it. So I think that, in the future, the responsibility is absolutely going to become on the platform. And I think the reasoning behind that is that, in many ways, a lot of the NFT artists can be quite anonymous. However, the platforms can be contacted, they can be got hold of, so they would ultimately be the point of call for any licensor wanting to shut something down.
Yeah, it's always good to be the officially licensed one. Hundreds of thousands of collectors, which is pretty rare in this particular space. A lot of major platforms are doing it with a much smaller community. What do you know about this group and why they're purchasing these digital collectibles?
Well, what I do know, surprisingly, is the age range. Like some of the demographics. I mean, number one, we're really a worldwide product. Even to the smallest parts of Europe, to countries in Africa, obviously North America. But the interesting thing for me was the age range of the audience. I expected it to be really a little bit younger, maybe from say 18 up to 29. But as the product started to evolve, we have a massive range of users from sort of 18 up to 50, with the around the mid 30s or so being really where the concentration of those users are. And I think it's because, a lot of the brands that we have now, people who are in their sort of 30s or 40s, they loved playing with these brands when they were younger. So there's a huge nostalgic part to it as well. And then, really the audience kind of, I see it falls into three different areas. You've got your flippers, people who want to come in and just make some money, part of any collectible industry. You've got your hardcore collector who wants to get every single set, they're on a mission to collect everything. And then you've got your casuals. So just really interesting to see the diversity of the user worldwide, and especially the age range.
How do you kind of quality control in terms of the look and feel of NFTs? Because it feels like everything is like you can reach into the screen and grab it.
Well, I mean, we really want to be in the premium space. For me, as everyone in the team knows, I'm Pixel Dan. It has to be perfect. We want to make sure that everything we're putting out is of an absolute high quality. I mean, not only for our licensors, but also for our audience. And the cooler you make something, hopefully the more attractive it is to the buyer. And that's also why we went down the 3D path rather than the 2D path, which, if you're thinking about it, 3D is a nightmare compared to 2D. So just know that if you want to go down that path, it's a considerable amount of work. But the end result is you can do a lot more cool stuff with it. Like, the virtual showrooms, augmented reality. We now have our first animated collectibles coming out. In the future, they're going to become more interactive. So yeah, that's circling back, quality control. In the company, we all really strive for that high level.
It certainly shows. And speaking of three-dimensional space, your website teases that the Veveverse is coming. Metaverses have been very hot as a point of discussion now, especially with Mark Zuckerberg coming out and saying Facebook's going to become a metaverse company. A lot of NFT companies are starting to bank on this idea of digital collectibles existing within a virtualized space. So why did you decide to go in this direction? And do you have any details you can share about the Veveverse?
Well, I mean, it's always been one of our sort of guiding principles from early on starting the company, is that we believe we're about to enter a truly digital age. And what I mean by that is, eventually this phone is going to be some sort of wearables that's plugged over my eyes, and I'm going to see digital items and digital assets everywhere. So that's really where we believe the future is heading, even almost beyond the metaverses. And I walk into my home, I've got a couple of pieces of real furniture in there, but my TV on the wall is completely virtual because I'm wearing AR, some sort of AR glasses or whatever. And then in my room, obviously I've got all my digital collectibles and everything as well. But sort of taking a step back a little bit into the more virtual space, the reason I think that the metaverse is such an attractive proposition for any NFT company is that when you own an NFT, most of us are used to, if we own a physical collectible, I'm like, there it is, you can come and see it, it's right there, I can show it off. But in the case of a lot of NFTs, they're really just stuck in a wallet and you can't do much with them. So except for ours, of course, where they're very, very interactive. So having a metaverse allows the NFTs to be displayed. You can show them off in the same way that you would with physical items. You can have that interactivity, that creativity. So and in conjunction with that, this digital step that we're about to take, I mean, everyone from Facebook, Unity, Unreal, so many people are looking into the metaverse now. I really believe that is going to become the next almost the next kind of internet, if you will, is that there will be these huge metaverses out there that people will participate in. And we think we have a great opportunity because, we're bringing licensed content into those worlds. And, we can do a lot of very cool stuff with that.
Yeah. Seeing what kind of properties you work with, is it kind of feels like it's going to be Comic-Con 24/7, right? Officially licensed collectibles, deep fandom behind the things they do. Is it going to be built out as a social experience as well, where people will walk around as avatars trading NFTs back and forth? Is that the plan?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it primarily is a social platform. So you'll be able to have your own piece of land in there, and then on that land you can obviously build out your own, crazy showroom or home. And then really the plan is to really have these different worlds in which, licensors or particular brands can really be celebrated, and we can run sort of competitions. We'll also have, Veve City, which is going to be the big sort of centralized area. And in that is obviously going to be, the marketplace. There's going to be the store. We'll run all our competitions. We'll do our live drops, everything from in there. And yeah, fully avatar based. You can do a lot of cool stuff with the avatars. So yeah, social is a huge part of collecting, and obviously a huge part of online worlds. So yes, that will be a big part of what we're doing.
Edge towards gaming? Is there a chance to play with these NFTs in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the same way that, I might have a radio control car, I can do the same thing, potentially with my NFT DeLorean in the Veveverse. Or not only that, maybe I use my DeLorean to drive from one side of the Veveverse to the other. Or perhaps I could race my DeLorean against the Ecto-1. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do to sort of gamify. It will ultimately start off as a social platform, as a meeting point. But for me, when it comes to these kind of products, I really like to see how they evolve. Where the users are pushing. Sort of what they want to see. But I do imagine it will go into gaming.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Ready Player One already with the idea of the Ecto One and the DeLorean racing against each other. It's very, very cool.
Longevity. I mean, we've been in this space for 3-4 years now, so we're very, very familiar with it. And I think the difference with Veve is that our MO is that we're a collectibles company. We're not an NFT company. But we use NFTs, we use blockchain, we use Unity, we use mobile apps, we use web apps. So really, I think because our sort of guiding light is the fact that we are here as collectors, as you guys can see, we're here as collectors to create really cool stuff for collectors. I think that's really what's helped us keep on a very straight and narrow in terms of the product that we offer, and to sort of ride these up and down waves. Really, I'm just here to sell a digital Spider-Man, a digital Batman, and if you like it, that's cool. Come in and join the family. Yeah, I think Twitter is by far our largest platform. Then we've got and then I think Discord follows pretty close after. We've got a following on Instagram. I mean, most of the channels, but I think Twitter is by far the largest for us. As a company, we try to do an AMA with the community, once every 2 weeks or so. For me, it's great just to get just to talk to people who are using the product and really understand, like what are they like? And to be honest, it's a lot of great ideas come out of the community, or even things like, I was doing this and I noticed that was annoying. And I'm like, you know what, that is actually really annoying. Some things that we might miss just being so deep in the project. So the community has been really, really solid. And it really just sort of sprung up out of love for the product. So we're greatly appreciative of the audience and the community that we have out there. I personally believe that tokenization through NFTs is going to become very, very popular in the future, and even down to the sense that not even talking about collectibles. I personally believe that a house, a car, anything really that has ownership will ultimately become an NFT, because the transaction, the record of sale, the ease of buying and selling. It's just inevitable. If you want to buy a house now, you've got to go through a whole raft of this and that. But really, the future is, I own the private key to that NFT. You send me some money, I send you that, and now you own it. And I really believe that is going to start to permeate, society and business in a much deeper way over the next sort of 10 years. And we'll start to see digital assets really becoming far more prominent, maybe even over physical assets.
Speaking of which, do you have any future IP that you're going to be working with that you'd like to tease a little bit?
Oh, I'm never one to tease future licensing licensors. Like everyone else, you'll just have to wait and see. But I will say that that September is going to be very exciting. We've got a lot of cool new brands coming on into the drop schedule.
Cool. Well, we're going to jump over to the Q&A at this point now. Please make sure that you're asking questions in the Q&A side instead of in the chat. The chat's popping off, so it's very hard to track in there. But we'll try to answer as many as we can. Looks like we've already got 12 in there. So Mike Olian said, with Veve going to Immutable, I see questions of Veve NFTs going to OpenSea possibly. My question is, would I be able to bring my NFTs from OpenSea on Veve in the Veve wallet once on Immutable?
Yes, that is the whole idea, and just to clarify in the beginning, that a lot of the interoperability when it comes to Veve NFTs comes down to the licensor. So really, it's their decision as to whether they decide that they want to send it in or out, or keep it within Veve. However, for those licensors that do, yes, absolutely, you'll be able to move your NFT out of Veve onto OpenSea. You might potentially sell it on OpenSea or whatever other platform, and then the new owner can then send the the NFT back into Veve to have the whole Veve experience. So this is just a great way, is that, I can take my, my ownership paper of a car and I can go and sell it over there. And then now that you own it, and then I can go back to the car yard and drive the car around. So yes, that is how we anticipate, or how we intend the future to look.
Very cool. Are you working with any TV series creators? And what's your take on using NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies to finance, produce, and distribute new TV series? We just saw a win with that with Stoner Cats, which I thought was a really exciting use cases. But is Veve thinking about these things?
No, we aren't. I mean, we're very much in the collectible sort of phase at the moment. But yeah, like I say, NFTs are a mechanism for many different things, and I think that's actually a great idea.
Absar said, loving these comic drops so far. Another Stan. When will the next bunch arrive? And will you ever be able to display them on your profile page and use them as posted in showrooms? Also, when DC Comics?
I knew the when DC comic would come. Not sure on that one. But yes, absolutely. Yeah, very soon your comics will be able to be used, placed in your showroom and into your profile. Version 1 of comics was basically just to get it out, making sure you could buy them, you can read them. But yes, very, very soon, hopefully within the next sort of week or so, we should see them coming into the showroom, and also augmented reality to read the comics.
Pollock said, Dan, an OG from Veve and OMI here, Om1 Cool. Tell me, how much do you expect from immutable migration, and do you think interoperability will transfer into utility?
Yes, I do. I mean, I think one of the big advantages of moving to immutable is that, number one, we're moving into a far more ubiquitous platform, that can be used right across a number of different digital collectible marketplaces or NFT marketplaces. It also opens us up to the ETH community. It makes us, far easier to list on various different exchanges. So yeah, and in terms of the utility side of things, that is something that we do have coming in the future. Phil, as you touched on earlier, phase 1 was, look, hey, you can buy them, you can own them, but the future is that there will absolutely be utility of some sort built in.
An anonymous attendee said, what are your thoughts on NFTs and gaming metaverses and the challenges and opportunities for brands specifically?
I think that at some point in the future, they will merge. Where maybe the slight friction is that right now, all of that economy is held completely inside the game. So if you create a game as the game owner, you're controlling that whole economy. But as soon as it becomes into, more interoperable, everything's kind of going in and out, and yes, there is the ability to clip the ticket, in perpetual royalty. But I think that is a bit of not necessarily a challenge, but, one of the decisions that, these companies will make. But ultimately, I think that it's going to come from demand. There's going to be more and more games that come out that do have NFTs that are interoperable, that users are gaining from, and there's going to become just more and more demand for that. And I think ultimately game designers will be somewhat, forced to go down that path.
Yeah, and I mean, we've already seen it with fashion brands and avatars, and I imagine you're already keeping your eye on with the Veveverse. How are avatars going to dress themselves, and how can you own a little bit of that? Which naturally with Marvel and DC, you can't walk through a Target without seeing, 100 Marvel and DC t-shirts. I imagine that's got to be a part of your roadmap as well.
Exactly.
Said, can we get a roadmap of Master Collector program?
Master Collector program is in the works at the moment. And as I've said on a number of AMAs, we will be releasing some information about that over September. However, I'm always upfront about it, that for me, it's about basically working on it until I'm happy with it. And if that means it's going to stay behind the scenes for another 2 months, and I'm not saying it is, for me, that's what's important, making sure that it's real and it's really thought out, and we know how it's going to roll out. And when we're happy with that, we roll it out to the community. Same as we've done with, all the other features that have come out in the app this year.
Very cool. Also asked, what options do you have for your own avatar? I assume that this is still in the works with the Veveverse.
Yeah. I don't really have too much comment on the specifics of the Veveverse at this stage. That will all be announced in good time.
Dan, given the current and future of smart TV set and device capabilities, do you see metaverses on TV?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess a metaverse is just another, like a bigger version of my laptop, for example. So yeah, as long as you can control it in certain ways, absolutely. In fact, even within Veve in the company, we plan to expand out to TV, to smart TV as well. Great way to see and display all of your collectibles. Obviously, we're mobile now. We're moving to web next, and then TV is going to be one of the next points of call. So yeah, I think it could happen.
I imagine a reality show fully within a metaverse would be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. There's basically going to be big drop parties where we'll just invite anyone and anyone who's in there. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Anonymous attendee, and only answer this if you're comfortable. They asked, how many people work at Veve and what do annual sales look like?
Annual sales, I probably won't go into.
That's fair.
But the Veve team is very small. Considering what we push out, I think we've got internally around 30 to 35 people, mostly made up of development team, and then obviously we have the artistic team. And then we use a lot of studios, like major AAA studios around the world to create all of our content. So the team has come from, last year where no one was interested in NFTs, no one was interested in giving us any money. We've always run very, very lean. And that's just continued into this year as well.
Another anonymous attendee asked, how do you compete with other large NFT projects? Well, we already talked a little bit about that, but if you want to go more in depth.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I actually like it when there's other big platforms out there because, in the company we have a saying that, when the tide rises, everyone succeeds. So we don't want to be just the only one in the space. And I think it's great that there's all of this awesome other stuff happening out there like VFriends. And I'm very, very bullish on just NFTs in general. But I think for us, we have a very specific niche, and that is IP premium 3D collectibles that you can do cool stuff with in the virtual space. So we were lucky enough to secure a bit of a niche before NFTs sort of took off, and that seems to still be going pretty strong.
For sure, you bet. Another anonymous attendee asked, can we expect cooperation with other NFT projects? Are we going to see a Bored Ape Yacht Club in the Veveverse?
Well, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, I can't say I've actually had any conversations with anyone, but yeah, I'm pretty bullish on interoperability in the future. So fingers crossed.
There we go. Ano says, what are going to be the changes to standard commerce as it pertains to blockchain and NFTs along the lines of deeds to a house, etc.?
Well, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's just going to become a lot easier. You know who owns it, who's going to buy it, and all of these. I mean, one of the great things about blockchain and is this trustless environment. Where there doesn't have to be a middleman. There's no mortgage broker in the middle. There's no bank doing things. It's I own it. You've got the cash. Let's do a swapsy. It goes into some sort of escrow and then comes out the other end. It's going to make trading and just doing commerce in general, I think, a lot more transparent and a lot more simple.
Asked, have you felt any change in sentiment towards NFTs from licensors since the Marvel announcement?
Well, I will say that our phones definitely rang a lot harder
after
I mean, a lot of the licensors who we were talking to were all of a sudden wanted to get back on the phone. But I would say, yeah, sentiment from licensors. I mean, like I mentioned, a lot of these big IP companies, they have very smart people at the top. And I really give good credit to, the licensors who signed up with us, even before January, before this whole NFT thing hit. I mean, even with Marvel, you know, I mean, we've been working with Marvel for probably, I don't know, 18 months, you know, to sort of reach this point. So in these big companies, there are a lot of very forward thinkers and people who can identify, you know, what trends are coming up. So yeah, I would say that a lot of the licensors we work with, they were already gung ho about it. But yeah, there's certainly been a lot more people giving us a call to see if they can join in the fun.
No one else wanted to work with us.
Yeah.
Ferris L. Banow asked, when will we be able to preview collectibles in our showrooms before we buy them?
Well, the whole idea about owning a collectible is that you can then view it in your showroom. So it's possibly unlikely that you'll be able to see one in your showroom because it's the whole kind of, you know, carrot and stick. You know, in order to do the cool thing that you want to do with the thing that you want, you need to own it. So yeah, with things like accessories coming in, we may allow previews for that, but it's not on the immediate roadmap.
Absolutely. You can't test drive everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
K Mo says, hi, Dan. Would you be open to games within the Veveverse having the ability to burn OMI, also when Pokemon?
Well, the first one I can answer.
There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, adding gamification into the Veveverse is definitely high on the list. The only caveat I'll say is that, you know, even creating simple games, like even if we wanted to create, like I mentioned before, you know, you race your DeLorean versus your Ecto-1, there's still a lot of game mechanics in that, and a lot of work is needed to go even into these sort of simple games. So especially when they're multiplayer and there's, you know, scoreboards and all that kind of thing. So I would say that, yeah, the gamification side of Veve is definitely an evolution. Will there be ways that you can burn OMI? Absolutely. And, you know, that's one of some of the news that we'll be releasing with the Master Collector program. Is a whole bunch of options for burning in the interim, and then when the Veveverse opens, we'll announce a whole bunch of other cool things.
Another anonymous attendee said, oh, this is a classic startup question. I love this. Will Apple or Google take over Veve? And if so, will you allow this? This is like the Ready Player One question, right?
Yeah. What's it called? The big one? IOI or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They really have a lot of their own sort of business. You know, they're a platform for everyone else. So yeah, I mean, I've got a few picks as to who might potentially one day take over Veve, which I won't voice now. But yeah, Google, Apple. I mean, I actually don't know, to be honest.
I mean, you got to assume that Disney is, right? Because Disney likes to hold IP and distribution so much. And the first time I saw Veve, I was like, if there's ever a large company that would go in and want to buy you quickly, it seems like that would be the one. But I won't try to read your body language on that.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the ride too much at the moment.
We know anime is coming to Veve eventually, since we saw comic book NFTs. What's the likelihood of seeing digital manga NFTs?
Number one, hey Taps, love your community contributions. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I think the only caveat I'd like to say is that, you know, working with some of the anime IP, you know, can be a lot more, a much more of an intensive process. You know, that IP is very protected, and they have, you know, very specific channels that they like to go through. We are absolutely, of course, trying to continue to work down that anime path. I mean, I'm a massive anime fan myself. So yeah, really all I can say is watch this space.
Orange Bag Lady Veve says, love the name. Hey family, hey Dan, hope y'all are well. Hopefully we will get some art drops in September. I'm getting withdrawal symptoms. I'm not sure if that's a question so much as a show of support.
Yes, Orange Bag Lady, another big community member. Shout out to her. Yes, we absolutely will be getting back into the arts and the artists. As most of our family knows, this has been Marvel month. You know, we wanted to basically come into the Marvel NFT world with a splash. But you can start to see our regular program will resume from September.
I love it. Very cool. Young said, what do you see to be the biggest barriers to mainstream adoption? What do you see as the biggest levers to accelerate adoption? Great question.
Yeah, so for us, and this was one of the very early decisions that we made with Veve, is that we wanted to make it applicable or usable to the masses, to the general public, and that basically meant putting a lot of the blockchain stuff like right in the background. Like, for example, with a number of NFT platforms, you need to understand what a wallet is. You need to understand what your private key is. You need to know how to send these assets around from exchange to wallet. And while that, once people do get over that small learning curve, can be fairly easy for people to adopt. When you're first coming into the space, it can be very, very much a barrier. So for us, we wanted to lubricate the rails so you could just come in and buy that digital Batman and then do whatever you want with it, buy, sell it. And then from there, start to expose people to, hey, did you know this is actually an NFT? And what does that mean? Will you actually own it? So our approach has been a little bit different in the sense we've gone more mainstream audience, and we've done that because of the brands and the IPs that we have. I felt it would have been a bit of a waste if we got all of those big IPs with millions of users and just stuck to the small crypto space.
Ibrahim Uzan says, this is a loaded question, but I'm interested to see your answer. Where do you see NFTs in the future of your utopic or dystopic version of the world?
Well, I'm always an optimist, so I hope for some form of utopia in the future. There's a guy called Peter Diamandis, and he basically did a really cool speech, long story short, which he said, everyone today lives in the best time in history ever. The least poverty, the most opportunity. So we are on the up and up, heading towards the a utopia. So I personally believe that's where it's heading. And like I said earlier, I believe that NFTs are going to be a huge part of that in terms of the way we do commerce, how we own things in the physical and the digital. Exciting times.
I love Wendy Stibalis. Sorry about that, Wendy. Wendy Stibalis says the Master Collector program will reward those that have been loyal with time. I mean, those who have been holding collectibles and not flipping them. Money can buy collectibles, but time is something that can actually show that you're a real collector. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Wendy raises a very good point, actually. One of the things around the Master Collector program, which for the audience is basically as you come into the app, you can kind of level up, and each level gives you various rewards. But one of the balances that we have to make on our side is that you can't just come in as Mr. Moneybags and then automatically become level 10. Wendy raises a very good observation of how portions of the Master Collector program will work.
Can you list what the next 3 big developments you anticipate for Veve in the coming weeks and months? For example, MTL is probably one. And of course, don't answer if you're not comfortable.
Yep, absolutely. So yes, we have the cash out coming. Obviously, the immutable migration is coming along very well. Let's see, what else do we have? Master Collector will be announced by the end of September. We've got features like accessories coming into the app. I mean, really, in terms of the actual features coming in, there's a huge raft of them. But I think those 3 that I mentioned at the beginning are the sort of the key ones that we're focusing on.
When is the gems to dollar conversion?
That is coming along very well. I mentioned in our last AMA over the weekend that the majority of the development on our side is done, and now we are just going through the final testing and regulation compliance. Obviously, that is a fairly intensive part of the process. I mean, just building the functionality out is one part of it. But because this is, gives people the ability to come into the platform and cash out, and also because we're in the NFT space, there's a lot of compliance and a lot of regulation that has to come through. But I'm hoping that that all goes very well, and no promises. This is not a confirmation, but I'm hoping that in mid to late September, we should see that in place.
So that's the video, my friends. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. And if you learned something or was entertained, feel free to like the video to help me in the YouTube algorithms, and share it with people of the community or whoever. And yeah, that's all there is. Don't know what else to say. A lot that hasn't already been said. So thank you again for watching. I'm not a financial advisor. None of this was financial advice. And yeah, I will catch you guys in my next video. Until then, peace out and hodl. Later.